Hey viewers, welcome to WeCodeNoCode. Most people can build a beautiful front end in minutes, but they never finish the app because the moment you need login, users, database, you're pushed into an IDE, code, and errors. And that's exactly where no-code builders quit. But today, we're skipping all of that. In today's video, we will use Google AI Studio to build the full front end of our app without writing a single line of code. And for the back end, we will use InsForge to handle authentication and database in a simple way. All right, so before we start building, let's quickly discuss what InsForge actually is, because this is where things get interesting. InsForge is basically an AI-optimized backend-as-a-service platform for modern applications, similar to Supabase or Firebase, but built for agentic development, giving agents everything they need to ship full-stack apps. That means instead of setting up servers, writing APIs, or managing authentication, you get everything out of the box. Once you connect your AI assistant to InsForge using the MCP server, it can read documentation, set up your backend, and even build complete applications from simple prompts, no backend knowledge required. InsForge works seamlessly with most popular AI code editors, including Cursor, Claude Code, Google Antigravity, Copilot, and many more. It provides a complete, production-ready back-end that handles everything behind the scenes, from a structured Postgres database and built-in authentication, including login and O-Auth, to cloud storage for files, serverless functions for back-end logic, and real-time updates to keep your app in sync. Basically, it gives you all the core infrastructure you need to build and scale a real app without managing servers. But in this video, we'll see how, as a vibe coder, we can connect InsForge with Google AI Studio to power our app's backend. Just click on Start Building Now or log in to InsForge. Once you're in, you'll be prompted to create your first project. Give your project a name. This can be anything based on the app you're building, and then select a region. The region basically decides where your backend will be hosted, so it's best to choose one that's closest to your location for better speed and performance. After that, go ahead and create the project, and InsForge will automatically set up your backend environment for you in the background. It usually takes a few minutes to prepare and set up your backend in the background. And just like that, InsForge has set up the backend for our project, HelpMate AI. From the InsForge dashboard, you'll find instructions on how to set up and connect it with your AI code editor. And if you notice, under the authentication and database sections, everything is currently empty. That's completely normal and exactly what we expect at this stage. Under the authentication section, you can see the Users tab and different authentication methods. InsForge lets you add multiple auth options depending on your app. If you go into Settings, Auth methods, you'll find options to set your redirect URLs. You can also enable email verification for authentication and choose how that verification works. For demo or testing projects, you can keep email verification disabled to make things faster. Under the Password tab, you get options to set minimum password length, define password requirements, and choose how password reset works. And under the Database section, you'll be able to see your database schema and tables used in your app, which we'll explore later in this video. Now, for creating our front end, we'll head over to Google AI Studio, and this is where things get really interesting. In this demo, we're building HelpMate AI, an AI-powered community platform where people can learn, share, and actually get help in one place. Because right now, there's no clean, focused space built specifically for builders to ask questions, share ideas, and grow around AI, no-code, and automations. So, we're building one. Users will be able to sign up, log in, create posts, ask questions, and have real discussions, all inside a clean, modern interface. We'll have a homepage, authentication, a dashboard with a live feed, post creation, replies, and user profiles. Basically, everything you'd expect from a real product. But here's the interesting part. We're not going to design any of this manually. We've already prepared a detailed prompt for Google AI Studio, and it's going to generate the entire front end and structure for us. So instead of spending hours building UI, we can focus on the idea. And just like that, in a few minutes, Google AI Studio has built our app. Now, obviously, you can take this further, refine the UI, improve the design, make it more polished, just by giving follow-up prompts. But for now, let's quickly test this out in full screen. We'll use some dummy credentials and see how everything works. Once we're inside, we'll create a few posts, ask a couple of questions, and add some replies, just to test the core flow of the app. And you'll see, everything is working exactly as expected. Now, we'll tell Google AI Studio that we want to connect this app with InsForge for authentication and database by providing a proper prompt. But as you can see, it's trying to set things up using Firebase. It says it has initiated the Firebase setup and is asking us to accept the terms so it can proceed. We'll simply decline that because we don't want to continue with Firebase here. And now, since it doesn't have context about InsForge, it's asking for more details like documentation, API keys, and how the integration should work. Now what we'll do is head over to InsForge, go into Settings, and copy the API key from there. Then we'll come back to Google AI Studio and provide another prompt, telling it that we want to connect this app with insforge.dev, and we'll also pass the project URL. Let's see what happens now. But we still haven't provided the documentation for connecting InsForge. So what we'll do is open the InsForge docs and copy the documentation link. Without proper context, it'll keep trying and won't get the integration right. So we'll cancel this task for now and try again with another prompt. This time, we'll provide the docs link, the project URL, and clearly tell it that we want to connect the app to InsForge for authentication and database. Let's see if this works. We've only provided the quick start doc link, which means it still doesn't have the full context for the setup. So again, it'll keep trying and most likely run into errors. So we'll cancel this once more. And this time, we'll provide the full documentation link, docs.insforge.dev, so it has complete context of how everything works. Hopefully, this should work now. And now you can see it has started working, integrating with InsForge, based on the documentation link we provided. It's updating multiple files and connecting everything seamlessly behind the scenes, which means now all the core pieces of our app are coming together. Authentication, database, posts, replies, everything is being wired through InsForge. And this is exactly what we wanted. And just like that, it has successfully integrated our app with InsForge. Google AI Studio has also suggested the next steps. We need to create the required database tables in InsForge, like posts and replies, with all the necessary fields. And if you're planning to use AI features, don't forget to add your API key in the environment variables. Apart from that, our app is now fully connected to the InsForge backend. So first, let's verify once again in InsForge, checking the Authentication section under the Users tab. As expected, there are no users yet. Next, we'll create some dummy users by signing up just to make sure authentication is working properly. First, we'll create a dummy user. Let's call her Jane Doe. We'll provide her email ID, jane@helpmate.ai, set a password with a minimum of 6 characters, and click Create Account. And just like that, we're now logged in inside the app. To quickly verify, let's head over to InsForge and refresh the page. And there you have it. You can see Jane Doe has been successfully created under the Authentication section in the Users tab. Next, let's create another dummy user, John Doe. We'll provide his email ID, john@helpmate.ai, set a password, and click Create Account. Once that's done, we can verify an InsForge again to see that John Doe now appears alongside Jane Doe in the Authentication section under Users. You'll also notice that Email Verified is showing as false. That's because we disabled email verification in InsForge for our testing purposes. Perfect. We've now successfully created users in our app, which confirms that authentication is working properly, exactly as expected. Now, the database entries are still empty, so let's head over to Google AI Studio and get our first post in. As you can see, we're logged in as John Doe, ready to test the app. We'll click on Ask Question, type Google AI Studio plus InsForge as the title, select the topic as AI, and in the content, we'll write something like, How to connect Google AI Studio with InsForge. Then we'll just hit Post Discussion. But nothing happened. We'll try to refresh the app, sign out, and log in again to check if the entries were added, but still nothing happened. That's because we haven't created the database schema and table entries yet. Now it's time to get the database up and running. We will provide another prompt to Google AI Studio. Perfect. Now authentication is working fine. I want to update the entries in the database. Please help me with an SQL script to create the database tables schema. And within few seconds, Google AI Studio provided the full SQL script for creating database schema and tables. It even includes basic row-level security policies, so authenticated users can create posts and replies while everyone can read them. The AI suggests that we can refine these RLS policies later, ensuring that users can only edit their own posts. Along with the script, it provides clear instructions on how to use it. Head over to the InsForge dashboard, open the SQL editor, paste the script, and click Run. Once executed, our app will be able to save and fetch posts and replies properly, just like a real production-ready application. Perfect! I've confirmed with Google AI Studio by providing another prompt that we've executed the SQL script in the InsForge SQL editor. It then confirmed, that's great news! Now that your InsForge schema is live, your application is fully functional with a real backend. It even provided tips on what's now possible with our app. With all of this in place, our HelpMate AI platform is now a complete, fully functional, full-stack application. Now, to quickly test everything, we'll try adding a new entry to see if it's working properly. We'll click on Ask Question, type Google AI Studio plus InsForge as the title, select the topic as AI, and for the content, we'll write something like, How to connect Google AI Studio with InsForge. Then we'll just hit Post Discussion, and this time it works. The entry is successfully saved. To verify, we'll head over to the InsForge database, and there it is. Our post has been saved correctly. This confirms that our database is fully synced and working exactly as expected. To push things further, we'll log out from John Doe's account and log in using Jane Doe's account. Once we're logged in, we can see the post created by John Doe, confirming that our app's functionality is working properly. Next, we'll try replying to this discussion. We'll write something like, refer the documentation, and post it, and we can see it gets saved successfully. To double-check, we'll log out from Jane's account and log back in as John Doe. When we view John's post, we can see Jane's reply underneath, just as expected. Perfect! Everything is syncing and updating in real time, exactly how a full-stack app should work. The next step is pushing our code to GitHub. We'll head over to Settings and select GitHub to configure the repository. Here, we'll enter the repository details, HelpMate AI as the repository name, and AI Community as the description. We'll set the visibility to private and click Create GitHub Repository. GitHub will then sync our project and create the repository. Finally, we'll click Stage and commit all changes to push all our files to the GitHub repository. All of our project files are now safely stored and versioned on GitHub, ready for collaboration or future updates. Now, the final step is deploying our HelpMate AI app to Netlify. We'll start by connecting our GitHub repository to Netlify. Once the repository is connected, we simply select it, and Netlify will guide us through the setup. Next, it will ask for a project name. You can choose any name that fits your app, depending on availability on the Netlify subdomain. Later, if you want, you can also link your own custom domain. And if your app uses any API keys, don't forget to set them up as environment variables. Once everything is set, just click Deploy, and Netlify will begin publishing our app to the internet. Within a few seconds, our HelpMate AI app is live. All we have to do is click the Netlify URL, and the app will open instantly in the browser, fully functional and ready for users to explore. And that's it for today's video. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe to WeCodeNoCode and hit the bell icon so you never miss upcoming tutorials. I've got a lot more exciting AI and no-code projects, tools, and demos coming your way. Thanks for watching, and as always, keep building, keep experimenting, and I'll see you in the next one.